to a couple of amazing people who volunteered to join us and share with us a little bit about how they price. And maybe I can answer some of their questions and share some new information and answer your questions today. We're going to do that. Okay. Ben, did you private message me the link?
Yes. So you should have it on Facebook, but I can
Facebook,
DM you.
Okay, let me open up. No, that's good. That's good. Let me just do that.
Okay. We are also broadcasting on YouTube.
On YouTube. What's up, YouTube? What is up? Okay.
So people on YouTube, this is a first for us. We are broadcasting a webinar, so it's totally different. It's totally different.
We are live on YouTube and on what are we saying on Zoom?
Yep.
Okay. I'll get the private link from you and then we'll get going. Everybody, give me a second. Copy link. Let me make sure this link is. Oh, it's a dirty link. You know, links out of Facebook that add all this garbage in front of it. So I'm gonna copy a clean one. And then here we go. We are live on YouTube,
307.
Zoom. Join us before the room is full at 500. Okay, I'm gonna close my social media now. I want to choke. Boom. Okay. 307, 308. South Africa. All right. Greetings from India. Okay. We can start. I'm here. The world revolves around you, my friend. You. You're like, I don't do webinars, but when I do webinars, they start when I'm ready. It's like the Dos Equis, man. Ooh, I can't read your name, but you saw us at Digital Design Days. Ciao. All right. From Nigeria, Guatemala. Okay. Ben, should we get going? We should get going, right?
We should get started.
All right. I'm going to share my deck. That didn't sound so good.
Yeah, watch it with the language there, Chris.
Where's my second screen? I think I'm going to go on this screen and it's going to look crazy for a second. Boom. Then I'm going to hit play.
There it is.
You seeing it? Full screen, Ben?
No, we see your presenter thing.
Oh, you see my presenter thing? I didn't want to do that. Okay, let me do it differently. Let me stop share. Stop share. Let me share it a different way. Let me share my.
Ripped. You are right.
Oh, what the lens will do for you, man. Okay, play. You're still seeing all this junk, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right, I'll do it differently. One last time. You could just see it right now, right?
Yeah.
That's fine. We'll do it like this. I'll make it as big as possible.
So for everybody watching on YouTube, this is it's a first for us. We've never done this before. We've never broadcast a webinar from our Zoom platform. And we're just working through some technical.
Save it. We're ready to go. Let's do it. Not even a technical thing. Hello, everybody. My name is Chris Snow, and joining me today is Mr. Ben Burns. You're going to see that there's no third man in the octagon today. That's because Matthew is at SIGGRAPH in Vancouver. So we're going to do this without him, and with your support, we can get through this together, okay? All right, so welcome to the Business Bootcamp. This is a 45-minute webinar, and we're going to go really quick because there's a lot of material for us to cover. If you joined us before, this is new information, so don't worry about it. And if you haven't, don't worry. This is a self-contained thing. And for the time being, we plan to leave this up on YouTube and on whatever other source that we're going to save this to for a little while. So who knows how long this is going to last. We want to jump right into it. I want to introduce the panelists today. I think we're one person shy, so I'm going to just quickly read to you who's here. Ashok Kumar, he's a self-taught logo and brand identity designer with 6+ years of experience. He's a solopreneur based out of India, and he's doing really well for himself, relatively speaking. Then do we have Tony Gallardo in here? He's a freelancer based out of New York City after running a production company for 13 years. And then Benton Woodring left his agency work a year ago to go independent. He's a solopreneur and works with a stable of freelancers. His goals are to scale his business. And what he does is branding, web development, and content strategy. And hopefully this year he's looking to bring on a business partner. We can talk about that a little bit if we have time. And then Jonathan Fellow, He's an industry veteran based out of London, works in UX and UI, focusing on tech for good and startups. He's a 2-person studio right now and has somehow managed to remain profitable since day one. All right. We put out this thing on Twitter. We asked you guys, are you charging hourly, project-based, or value-based pricing? How are you doing this? So I want to jump right into it. Let's go back to the panelists and let's open up with Ashok. How are you pricing today? And we'll get into it. And what kind of struggles or challenges are you having?
Yeah, hi Chris. I'm Ashok from India, and I price based on a project-based pricing, ranging from $500 to $750 per project, and that will last for 5 to 7 days, including some logo options from 2 to 4 options. I provide them, and the challenges I face here, sometimes people aren't serious about their product or brand or business. Like they want the logo, but they are not using it for their purpose or what it actually needs to be done with that. So I try to avoid them, but sometimes I feel, yeah, they are serious about that. But at last, I'm not seeing that logo anywhere else except in my profiles. So that is one big challenge over here. And
okay, let's
I
get
also
right
target.
Okay, let's get to one thing at a time. I'm taking notes and I want to be able to respond to certain things. Let's just make sure we're using the same vocabulary, because a lot of people told me they're doing value-based pricing, project-based pricing. And it turns out once I dug a little deeper, they were all doing hourly pricing. And you know how I feel about hourly pricing. And if you're going to do hourly pricing, let's do it well. Okay, so I'm going to teach you some things today. So let's make sure when you submit a bid to your client, is it one price? Or do you show how many hours you work on it?
No, I specify the range of the price between $500 to $750, something like that.
On the estimate?
On the estimate, I just give the package options with 3 options, so they can choose.
Okay.
Yeah. They
Okay.
can choose
So what are the 3
one.
options? Okay.
Yes, that will range between $500 to $750, which is already been spoken.
To 750. So option 1 would be 500. Option 2 might be 600. Option 3 might be 750.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And
also, this is only for a logo design. This won't cover any identity package or system and all. This is only for logo.
What's the difference between the $500 logo and the $750 logo?
Only the options varies. I provide 2 options for $500 and 4 options for $750.
I see. I see. You more options. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. It does sound like you are doing project-based pricing because you're not showing any hours on how you get there. So the assumption is if it takes you a lot longer to do the one option, then you're going to make less money, right?
Okay.
Right? No, you have to say yes or no.
Okay, yes.
Okay. And if you do it really quickly, you still charge $500 or $700, right?
Yes, of course.
Okay, perfect. Then that is truly an example of project-based pricing. He's giving a flat rate. He's describing the deliverable and how many options or whatever bells and whistles he wants to add on top of that. So the first thing I heard from you is that your clients are not taking you seriously. What does that mean?
They are taking me seriously. They're not taking their business as a serious product. Even they need a logo design. They ask me, they inquire me. I provide them the proposal and they go ahead with the proposal and contracts and all. And once the deliverables has been done, I don't see that logo being used in the business or somewhere else. So that has been quite a couple of times. So I'm trying to avoid those kind of persons trying to do a business with me.
Okay. And does it matter to you if you only design the logo and
of course,
they don't use
it does matter. It does matter. The most important thing is it should also visible in the client side where I can see it is going live somewhere. So I can be feeling good about that. Something my work has been going somewhere. Otherwise, it's only in my profile and I feel little bit nervousness. Is it really he wanted a logo or is it me not giving the good options or best logo design? So that confusion strikes.
This is very interesting. So do your clients pay you on time when you deliver the logo?
Yes, of course. Yes. I take 50% initial payment and 50% before deliverables.
Do they complain to you that they didn't get what they wanted?
No, they don't. That is the only reason.
Okay. Let me just go through this. Okay. Let me understand the situation, Ashok. Okay. You give them an estimate.
Okay.
They approve it.
Mhm.
They pay you. You finish
Yes.
it. They say thank
Mhm.
you, and now you're
Yes.
sad.
Yes.
Do you see any problem with this thinking?
Currently, right now, no, I don't see anything.
Right. Maybe Tony or Benton would like to chime in here. When a client pays me and they don't complain, I'm over the moon. I actually don't want to hear from them because when they call, it means there's a problem. Generally
complaints is good.
it's a problem. Right, Tony? Talk to Tony. Drop some knowledge and some sense into Ashok right now, because I didn't understand. Like, he's going to be sad if he marries the perfect woman and everything in his life is working out. Like, I think
it's more important if you feel good that you are designing a good product. If you feel good that I'm delivering a good product to my to my client, if they're happy and if they can choose to use that logo however they want to use it. But if you feel good about yourself that I'm designing a good product and I'm delivering good quality work, then man, go for it. That's it.
Doesn't that make a lot of sense? Now, you're asking yourself to think about things that they didn't hire you to do. Like you said, it's just for the logo. It's not for an identity system. It's not to design their signage or their menu or anything else. When the clients are happy with the work, now it's your ego jumping out at you and saying, well, you should use it everywhere. You should take a press release and announce how good it is.
No, it's for specific things. Like if a YouTube channel subscriber person is asking me a YouTube channel cover photo, profile pic, or logo maybe, so at least he should use that, right? So if it is not using there, then I should think like what went wrong over there.
Okay, hold on. You're going bananas and crazy on me.
Okay.
I'm trying to be a nice guy. I am trying so hard right now. Ben Burns, hold me back. Don't let me go there. Okay.
Danger zone.
Okay. Here we go. You deliver something. They pay you for that. If you're not sure they're happy, ask them to write you a quick testimonial so that you can use this. Then shut up already. They pay you. They like you. They don't complain. And they write you a testimonial. You have the problem. You know what you need to do? Get off this webinar. Check yourself into a mental institution because you're mentally unstable right now. There is something wrong with you. People are already happy. They're writing you testimonials, which clients who pay us a ton of money, sometimes they don't even have time to write us a testimonial. Get on with your life, man. You're doing fine. Now, I'm not going to reveal how much money you make, but relative to the income that people in your country make, you're probably doing 2 times or 3 times what normal people make right now, right?
Yes, exactly.
And you're still sad. I'm going to get on a plane to India. I'm going to go over there and I'm going to slap you on the side of the head. All right, let's focus on bigger problems. I'm going to move the conversation to the next person on this call. Yeah. All right. Now, Ben, before I do that, hey, what's up, Brazil and Denmark, Venezuela? Okay.
I want to share some poll results with you.
Okay,
I just polled our webinar group and I asked them how they price their projects. So 21% said hourly, 41% said fixed fee, an astounding 30% of them say that they price according to value.
Excuse me. I want everybody that does value-based pricing to get on the webinar right now. I think Bolshevik is what I'm going to say right now. There's no way that's 30% of you. What are you watching this channel for? Go make all the money because your guys are all like high-priced consultants right now. It's just, you guys don't even understand. First of all, retainer is an hourly fee. You're selling time, just package time. So whoever wrote retainer, I get it. You're actually an hourly person, okay? You're an hourly person, okay? So based on the definition that we got from Ashok, he is doing fixed fee project-based pricing. You describe the project in as much detail as possible to protect yourself and the client for one fee. Nowhere in there do you show the hourly and how you got there. You're assuming a lot of the risk. And for that, you should charge a little bit more. Okay. Is there a question from anybody that's relevant? Ben, I can't scan the chat. It's going crazy.
Yeah, we do have some questions. People want to know your history. What kind of rates? How did you price jobs in the 20 years you've been in business?
It's an evolution. That's a great question. When I was first starting my own company, really, it was just a company of me, a solopreneur, and I was a hired gun. I would go into a place, I'd work at a day rate. A day rate in Los Angeles can mean sometimes 8 hours, sometimes it can mean 24 hours, and depending on what shop you work at. And so in the beginning, I think I was charging something like $300 and then $400 a day, and then $500 and then $700 a day. I raised my rate really quickly. I raised it so fast that the producer from this one place I was working at had called me up and said, "What are you doing? We just paid you $450 a couple of weeks ago, and now you're saying you're $800 a day?" And I said, "Yes, I am. I do a lot of good work for you, and I feel that that's fair. If you don't think that's fair, ask the creative director if that's not fair, and then we'll adjust accordingly." Never heard back from her again, so it was fine. Now, in the very beginning when I was starting out, I got more work than I could do. And this was like the first month, okay? Because I was thinking, man, I'm at home, I'm doing this work remotely. I want to bring in somebody to help me. So I immediately brought in somebody else to help me. And if I could charge, I don't know, $800 a day, that person, I'm like, how much do you want to get paid? Since they were relatively inexperienced and really wanted to work with me, they said, oh, I don't know, $250 a day. I'm like, fantastic, sit down, let's get to work. So they would do most of the work, and I would provide some art direction and then submit that work. And that's how I could do so much work, because over time, and when I say over time, in the first 6 months, I would just bring on more and more people to do the work so that I can supervise and do the client relationship work. That is until I learned how to bid projects. So now we're getting into fixed fees or firm bids, project-based. And the way I learned that was I brought in a producer who then built out a 5-page Excel spreadsheet. I learned so many things about that. And later on, I'm going to show you a glimpse of that. So you guys want to make sure you stay to the end of this webinar, okay? And then get your screen capture device ready, because it's going to flash on the screen and it'll be gone, okay? And that's how we started to grow our company. So then the projects went away from day rates and it went into project fees, and the fees were getting bigger and bigger. I think the first project-based thing that we did that was in motion graphics, the first sizable job was around $47,000. And I thought to myself, and I did the work in a couple of weeks, it was done. And I was dating now my wife and my girlfriend. I said, wow, we just earned $47,000. I don't think I even need to work for the rest of the year. So anything else that comes in from this point forward is gravy. So it's with that confidence, knowing that all my bills have been paid. I'm good to go. Any other project that came in the door, I wasn't in that scarcity mindset where I felt like I needed the job. So one way that you're going to start to build this out for yourself is to start to charge more and save more. Now, notice when I got that $47,000, I didn't go running out and buy myself a new fancy car. I drove a Honda Civic, just the cheapest Honda Civic you can get. And that's how I control my expenses. So the more runway you have, the longer you can be in business without actually new work, the more confidence you have, the more leverage you have when it comes to working with clients. All right. Thanks for that question. Let's bring on Tony Gallardo. Tony, you're here. I appreciate you being on our call today. He had to move heaven and earth, I believe. Right? Is that right, Tony? If I remember your direct message to me.
Yeah.
Family obligations. Yeah, he was going to paint his house and fix his car, but he moved everything around so he can be on this. So first of all, Tony, thank you for doing that. How are you pricing? And then tell us about some of the challenges that you're having.
Thanks, Chris. No problem. In fact, I'm going to have some people in the background painting in a little bit, so just don't mind them. Just one quick thing. I wish I was based out of, it would be nice to be based out of NYC, but I am based in Texas.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got that wrong.
No worries. No worries. It doesn't matter. It's the internet. So what was the question? Yeah. So I do project based bids. They're flat. And, it's always, every job opportunity is always different. There's always some new difference that people want. So I usually end up giving first a range that the job could live in this, the budget could live in this world here between X and Y. And then as we get closer, we start to dial it into what they want and don't want. And then that locks in the flat pricing. So yeah, it doesn't matter if it's done in a week or 2 months or whatever the case may be. But at the same time, I do have clauses where if something gets done excessively, we're really pushing to now we're starting to change the creative, then, we need to reassess. So we need to sit down and say, how can we accommodate this within the budget, or do we need to add money to make this happen? So there's that. Some of the challenges that I face are the clients becoming, or at certain levels, clients becoming a lot more savvier, or they think that they're more savvy with understanding, like I'm in the production business, right? Doing production commercials and that type of stuff. So everybody's got an A7 R3. And so there's some of that I face, which is fine if they don't want to come.
Wait, hold on. So people don't know. You're talking about the car, the A7 R3?
The camera. The Sony camera.
Oh, okay. All right.
Like a little mirror.
Dang, I didn't know everybody had that car.
They have like, fast cars.
Yeah. Kind of people you hanging out with, Tony?
You know, everybody thinks in Texas we do horses, but now we do fast cars.
Okay, A7 R3.
So
okay, everybody knows that. I get it.
Just the community getting, technology democratizing, that sort of thing.
Yes.
So they want to break apart the budgets a lot more. So that just becomes a nuisance. And I don't mind them doing that, but that's just been pretty much a nuisance lately, where they really want to break apart the budget. And for me, there's things of time. This is the price. This is what it's going to be to get the job done at this certain level.
Yep.
And so now, I'm having to do a lot more hybrid stuff where I'm using some of them and then my stuff as well. So that's kind of an interesting world where we're, I think.
I got a bunch of questions for you here. And I want to make sure that we don't gloss over some things, because we have a variety of different people tuning in today. Some are just starting, some haven't started yet, and some are veterans, okay? So the first part is that you said when you're talking to your client, you start to quote them some prices so you get a sense of where the budget needs to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you're doing this verbally, or you're doing this over the phone or in person? If I were your client right now and we're talking about a typical project for you, tell me how you would kind of quote me. Just as verbally, how would you quote me? What would you say?
Well, usually it starts off with, well, what do you want? Why do you want it?
Let's fast forward to the money part. Let's just
get
right.
Yeah. So, I can tell them, listen, based on what you've said, it could be in this range between, 5,000, 10,000, or between 20,000 and 50,000. What's your time frame? How soon do you want this?
Okay. Stop. Tell me, slow down for me. All right. I want you to talk to me as if I'm your client in the exact same tone, and just deliver it just like that, okay?
Okay.
Because I'm going to study you for a little bit. Go ahead. Look at the camera, dude. Look at me.
Okay. All right. Here we go.
Okay.
We can definitely do that. That'll be somewhere between 5 and 10 grand. I'm not sure what your budget, if you have a budget set aside for this, but we can definitely knock it out of the park for around 10 or 12. If you're budget conscious, we can figure out ways to make it work. But what do you think, or how do you want to proceed? How does that sound?
Okay, good. All right, you've done a couple of things here, and I want to give you some advice. First of all, when you say this to your client, what is their typical response to that exact same thing you just said?
It depends. Some clients they're yes. Some clients are, well, they want to come back to me. A lot of times too, I'll ask them first, what is your budget? Do you have a budget? Do you have a budget range set aside? So it depends. Some clients I have a secondhand relationship with, so it's a little more fluid. But for the ones who are newer, I kind of say, I will ask them, what's your budget range?
Okay. All right. I'm going to give you some advice. Is that okay?
Absolutely. Go for it.
Okay. The doctor's in session right now. We're going to do open heart surgery with you right now. Okay. I'm going to give you some advice. And those of you guys that are watching this live, if you have a question about what it is that we're doing, just ask away in the chat box, and then Ben will pick out the questions that are relevant to this. Please focus the questions relevant to what we're talking about right now, because that's the live part of this. Okay.
If you do have a question, the Q&A box is below. I'm not monitoring chat.
I'm sorry. The Q&A box. My apologies. Thank you, Ben. Hit the Q&A box. Okay. There's 27 questions in there. So Tony, first of all, I'm going to say, I like the approach that you're doing. You're going to verbally say a price before you show them a price, because you want to make sure you're in the ballpark and you're getting a sense of how much they can afford. That's the good news. Here's the bad news. You seem a little squirrely when you talk about numbers. Like it's between 5 and 10 and 12 and 12 and 12 and 15 and and how do you feel? You know what? That makes me feel nervous about you.
Yeah.
What I want you to do is to slow down, and I just want you to say it and stop talking. Okay. Like I'm going to pretend to be you now. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm going to say it to you, and you can react to me. as a potential client. Okay. Tony, based on what we talked about, projects like this typically land somewhere between $10,000 and $35,000. Is that within your budget to spend?
Yeah, it is.
Whereabouts are you in there? If we come back with a bid, say for 32,000, are you going to be okay with that?
That's going to probably be a little bit higher than we were expecting.
Okay, so help me out here. What can you afford?
We were thinking something maybe around 22 or 25.
Okay, so I'm going to go away, put together an estimate, and now I kind of have an idea as to what your budget is. So I will design a production around what you guys want to spend. So if I come back somewhere between 20 to 25, you're okay with that, right?
Yeah, we'll be fine with that.
Okay, fantastic. And is there any other thing that you're thinking about in terms of the different vendors you're talking to, is how you're going to make a decision as to who to work with?
No, right now we're only sourcing it internal or to you.
Okay, I love that. So internally, what kinds of things are you considering? Why would you go out of house?
Well, we're getting a little swamped, and we also kind of want this to be a little bit better than what in-house can produce.
I see. And where have they not kind of met your creative bar? Can you articulate that, please?
Just in the quality level, just sometimes you can get a much better company who can produce, just have that little extra. We want this to be seen for our brand a little bit nicer and sharper. So overall quality level between editing and production.
Okay, so production, would it mean like better locations? Are you thinking better color correction? Are you looking for some slick transitions maybe? Something
I'm not sure. Just something, maybe who has who can bring a different eye, a better eye. So whether that means production or maybe that is color correction. We're not sure.
Okay, fantastic. So would you mind sharing to me a typical video that your company's made internally? And if you don't mind, then once I look at that, I think it might be beneficial for both of us to look at a couple of samples. I'll go and find something, either something we've shot or something that's on the internet, and show you that and engage whether or not you think that that's going to meet the bar or not. Would that be helpful to you?
Yes.
Fantastic. So that's what I'll do. Okay. I'm going to work on some numbers and I'll look for a couple of pieces. I think I have a pretty clear idea as to what you're looking for, but I always want to check before we go too deep. So let me do that. And then when you get a chance to look at it, we'll have another call and we'll talk about it. And then we can firm this up. And if you feel it's good, we can move forward. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
Okay. So fantastic. Okay. That would be end of the scene. Okay. I want to explain a couple of things about what's going on. And Tony, first, before I explain anything, I want you to reflect back how you felt as a prospective client. And you're free to say anything. This is not like a sales pitch or anything.
Oh, yeah. I know what you mean about me being very squirrely. I think I'm a little nervous right now being on the webinar. So about half of that will probably go away.
Okay.
In general. So yeah, no, I felt like I was in good hands as you were asking questions. And about, I would say between 25 and maybe 40% of what you asked, I will end up asking. Some of the stuff that you brought was really nice about digging much deeper. Some of those questions, harder questions that I wouldn't ask. So that was,
yeah, you're like an industry pro. You've run a company before, right? So you've done this stuff before. This is not your first rodeo, and I get it. So the first thing I was going to say is, whenever you guys are trying to price and you're going to say the price, be confident in your number and don't fill in the dead air. So if I say it's between this and this, just let the client fill that dead air. It's fine, and just wait. And if it's too painful for you, you can say, okay, are we still connected? You can joke about it. It's like, did you fall out of your chair? Are we okay? What happened? Right? And let's talk about it. And I'm always kind of going to ask you lots of questions so that I have a better sense of what it is that you're looking for. Right. And notice when Tony described this thing about better quality, it's like, what does that mean? That means nothing to me. And so we also understand that the client doesn't always have the language skills to describe to us in terms that we understand. So if I can't use words to do that, then I'm going to go out and I'm going to find some visual reference and show it to them. Now, what's happening here, hopefully, is that Tony is scratching his head thinking back, gosh, my team has never done this before for me. No vendor has gone to this length to try to understand what it is that I want. So when I write that check for $25,000, I have greater feeling of success and I'm more assured in my decision to work with Gallardo Productions.
Yeah.
That's what you guys want to be able to do. This is how you're going to elevate the dialogue between you and your client and be positioned as a person who is more valuable than somebody else who's just going to bang it out with their A7 R3. I had to look that up. Okay. Okay. All right. That was fantastic. So the thing that you're talking about earlier was scope creep, and scope creep comes in play when the scope hasn't been clearly defined. And it's hard with production, right? It really is. So the way that you can control some of this is unfortunately describe what you're going to put into it now, unfortunately. It's a one-day shoot. It's 2 guys. This is what we're doing. And it's this cut for that long and that many revisions. And then this is the price. So
yeah, we definitely do that.
Yeah. So when you were able to bring up the fact with the client, okay, we're moving into a space now where I'm going to have to charge more money. I hate to do this. I really don't want to do it. Do you think we can wrap this up with the next revision, or do we need to present you with an overage? Right. And that's how you typically have that kind of conversation, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic. I realize time is flying away here, and I want to get Benton on the call. But before I pull you on deck, Benton, hold on. Give me 2 seconds. Ben, are there any Q&A questions relative to what Tony and I just did?
Yeah, lots of people want to know what the heck is value-based pricing.
Well, those 30%, they should answer that question. Hey, Smarty Pants, those of you guys are tuning in with the 30%. I want to hear from you in the chat, or you can type it in the Q&A as the answer. Okay, and Ben will monitor that. I want to see if you actually know how to do this. And don't go on Wikipedia and type in value-based pricing. Really just your own words, because we'll know. Okay, you're gonna fail for cheating on the exam. Okay, let's bring Benton on the deck. Benton, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Benton, tell us how you price and give us a little scenario and tell us some of your challenges, and keep it super short because I want to dialogue with you.
Yeah, definitely. So I've tried value-based pricing. I've gotten a lot of value, no pun intended, out of using like a lot of the principles. The thing I struggle with is getting the client to tell me the value. I have a hard time asking like the probing questions that will really dig deep. So basically right now I price per project. Branding is what I do. So usually full service branding with some web development. I provide several tiers usually in my pitch after doing a questionnaire and discovery process. So I usually present 3 options from like really basic all the way up to like a pro level. And then the options are just, there's like more collateral or more strategy, things like that.
All right. This is an interesting thing. Okay. And I'm sorry, again, did you say your challenge is trying to determine the value with the client to do value-based pricing?
Yeah, having the client tell me the value. And I've kind of asked some questions, but I think I've skewed the value that they give me by asking them like, what would be the impact to your bottom line? And then sometimes I'll kind of give them examples like, how much would this increase your revenue over the next year or 2? And sometimes I would get valuations of like $300,000 or to like $30,000. And it was just all over the place and didn't really seem accurate to what I was trying to pitch.
Okay. And so it just kind of fell apart?
Yeah, it did. And I kind of stopped using it. Okay,
cool. Are you talking to the decision maker or a person who is in a position to make the decision?
Yes.
You are? Okay. I'm going to show you how to do value-based pricing right now while Ben is seeing if people actually know what they're talking about. Ben, how are we feeling about their confident, or how confident are we that people actually know what we're talking about?
We got a couple of good answers. Christian kind of hit the nail on the head, but they're very few.
Okay,
it's definitely not 30%.
Because 30% of you guys say you know value-based pricing, and Ben's looking at it, it's like, no, you don't know value-based pricing. Okay, there's 3 ways that you can build a bid, you guys. The first way is to do an estimate based on time and materials. And it's just an estimate. Basically, we think it's going to take this many hours at this rate equals this price point. But what happens is if you spend more time, the client's going to pay you more. And if you do it really fast, the client will pay you less. And everybody can already see the problem with this, right? Because if you're really good, it won't take you very long. Like, it doesn't take me long to come up with an idea. It doesn't take me that long to design a logo. So how am I going to charge the client? Because actually, the better I am, the less it's going to earn me. So I'm incentivized to take a longer time. And clients know this, so they say, we don't want to do that. We want to get a fixed bid, project-based fee. And you're like, fantastic, great. So I'll build something, maybe based on time, but I'm going to add on a certain percentage, because if the job goes sideways, the risk is on me now. So I'm going to mark that up. So if I thought I was going to charge $100, I might charge $200. I might charge $300, or I might charge $180. It doesn't really matter. And then they're going to say, great. Value-based pricing throws all that out and says, what is the value of what we're doing relative to you, the customer, and not what it costs to make? Value-based pricing has no correlation between the value that the client sees and what it costs to make. And the example I gave at yesterday's workshop is this, is if you buy any luxury good, are you thinking about the raw materials and the labor it took to make that thing? If you buy a luxury handbag or suitcase, a backpack, or even a high-end luxury automobile or a watch, are you thinking about how much it costs? No, because now you are buying into something more than the materials. You're buying into an idea, the way it makes you feel. That's what you're buying into. So I'm going to demonstrate it right now with Benton, okay? Benton, you want to learn how to do value-based pricing, right?
Yes.
Okay. What do you think that's going to do for your business?
10x it.
You're going to 10x it. So in real dollars, what would that be?
As of last year, or in the last 12 months, we'd probably be, if we 10x it, probably be $700,000 in revenue.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. So you're doing about 70K last year.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Okay. So I can teach you how to do value-based pricing. Now, I'm not going to charge you $700,000 to teach you how to do that. Obviously, you're not going to be able to pay that. But most consultants charge somewhere between 20 to 30%. So let's say we do 20% of this, mm-hmm. which is $140,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would you be willing to pay $140,000 to learn how to 10x your business?
If I could afford it.
Okay, if you could. So then I'm going to write a proposal for you, and that's how we would do this. Now, most entrepreneurs, most businesses see the gain, the big problem they're trying to solve. Now, notice I haven't talked to you about branding, identity design, or building you a website.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing none of that. I'm going straight into what is a really big problem that you want to solve. I'm going to find out what that means to you. Okay, I can add other variables to this. I can say like, look, what if I taught you how to do value-based pricing and how to manage your team so that you can actually earn more while working less, so that you can do things that are more important to you, like start a family or spend more time with the kids or whatever it is that you want to do. Would that be something that you would consider valuable too?
Yeah, absolutely.
So then we will go through that whole exercise. And I'll ask you, so instead of working 60 hours a week, what if I can help you do it in 30 hours?
That'd be amazing.
Wouldn't it? I can help you actually. And then what would that be worth to you? Because we know that time is the most valuable commodity we have, right?
Yeah.
What if I could tell you right now, I'll help you double your business, not 7x it, just, or 10x it. I'll help you double your business and I'll help you do it in 30 hours a week. What would that be worth to you?
I mean, almost just the amount that my revenue would increase. Like, I feel like just that alone.
Right. Okay.
And
so
then,
that,
yeah.
So like 140K.
Right.
Okay. So if we do the math, if I help him to 10x his business, and if I help him to reduce his workload so he can live a more sustainable life and be happy, so he's not grinding away at it all, that's worth at least another $140,000 to him. So we're going to do all the math, and I'm going to write a proposal based on this thing. And then he's going to have to make this decision. Can he scrape together enough money to do this because he wants to get there? I just demonstrated to you value-based pricing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We go into this in great detail in the Business Bootcamp. We'll teach you how to do it. And we actually did it with a participant, and I write the proposal, and you can see all of that. Okay. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to look for a big problem to solve. You're trying to define a future state, meaning a year from now, 2 years from now, this is where we're going to be. We're going to work towards that goal. And what we're understanding too is that I cannot guarantee the results. So what I'm going to do is discount for uncertainty. So if I can guarantee the results, the price is going to be very close to what you hope to gain in the first year. And if you wanted me to guarantee it, that's the kind of price I would charge you. So if you hope to gain $1 million in new revenue, then I would probably bill you at about $850,000, because year 2, year 3, you get to earn all that without ever paying me again. So what I'm doing is I'm discounting. So I'm going to discount probably, and I'm going to charge you 20% of what you hope to gain. Okay. All right. So I'm going to end it there. Ben, I realize we're almost, webinar's almost over.
Yeah, we have a bunch of questions, but one of them stood out to me.
Okay.
And he's actually a surprise guest on the show right now, Demetrius.
Mm-hmm.
And Demetrius says that he value-based price. So he's running value-based pricing.
Okay.
However, he also provides an estimate of time. And so he's worried that he's kind of blurring the lines there.
No, Demetrius. Okay, we're going to do this like Westworld.
So I'm going to unmute you, Demetrius.
Demetrius, or is it Demetrius? Demetrius, bring yourself online.
It's Demetrius. Can you hear me?
Demetrius, okay.
I'm Ben's biggest fan in the UK. You've seen me on Twitter. I stalk you all the time.
Yes. Oh my God, this is an inside job. Inside job that you got on the show.
Okay. Basically, what I told in my question is that I do value-based pricing, but when my customers, my leads flinch, I have to describe that it takes me at least 14 to 20 weeks for a project. So I do branding and identity design, and I've heard from a lead that they expected around a couple of weeks of turnover, and I do all the strategy work, and I do the discovery and strategy, and there's actually a few rounds of iterations. So lots of my potential customers might think that I'm going to, snatch up something in a couple of weeks, and I have to tell them that it takes lots of time, and there is this discrepancy between what I charge and what other people charge.
Okay, hold on. I'm not accepting all the facts just yet. I don't take anything for granted. So you do branding and identity design, right?
Yes.
Okay. How do you quote, or how do you determine the price that you're going to do the project for?
Depending on what I estimate that the change in the leads business is going to be.
Excuse me. You have that conversation with the client?
Sometimes I do. Sometimes I compare this to my experience in. I've worked in retail at some point. I've worked in shops that are really close to what my potential customers might do.
Okay, so I can only see one of two scenarios happening based on what you just told me. So correct me if I'm wrong. Scenario number one is we don't actually talk to the client, and so we're just going to go away and make a guess. Is that right? So like we look at their company, we kind of look at their website. I think they can afford more, so I'm going to charge them a little bit more. Is that right?
Yes.
And then the other scenario is you actually talk to them and say, well, what do you hope doing this work or engaging our agency or firm will yield for you?
Well, it vastly depends on how. So I've been trying to put the money question first, so as so that we don't lose our time both.
Okay, let's do this. Let's role play real quick, okay? Okay. Is it possible for you to orient the camera so you're looking at me instead of me just looking at your beard? There we go. Because, people connect with the eyes, right?
Right.
So otherwise it's just talking to your beard. And you have a magnificent beard. But
thank you.
I want to look at your eyes, okay? All right. So I'm a prospective client. I've reached out to you. I like your work and all that kind of stuff. So get me to the money part.
All right. So, okay. Hi. How did you find my work? Usually.
No. Get to the money, baby.
All right. All right. So,
I love you. I want to do work with you.
Usually for this kind of project, the going rate is about 3,000, 10,000. Is this something close to your budget?
Yeah, I think we could afford something in there.
Okay, usually people say no, and I have to explain that I do 14 to 20 weeks worth of work.
Okay.
For this.
All right.
This is pretty much it. People
okay,
say,
okay,
I would go for half or less or things like that.
Okay, so thus far, the person who's come closest to understanding and demonstrating this is Benton. Demetrius, you're not doing anything different than Tony. You're price bracketing, you're saying two numbers, then you're going to negotiate with the client, and depending on how skilled of a ninja you are, you're either going to lose that negotiation and justification of what it is that you do. This is not value-based pricing. You can't just throw out numbers and say, like, is this going to work? Okay, you have to start to get into a diagnostic phase and understand the desired future state of the client. And that also means, that you can't always sell the same thing. Let's say I tell you that we're losing foot traffic in the restaurant. Yeah, great. Here's a new branding identity system. That's not going to solve my problem. We're not converting well on our site. Great. Here's a new logo and a new identity system. Well, that's not going to change anything. So part of the value-based pricing thing is you have to be able to listen to the client, understand what their challenges are, and see if what you provide can actually solve their problem. So none of your pricing strategy, if you don't actually engage with me and say, what's the big problem we're trying to solve? What's that going to do for your business? What's that going to do for you personally? Right? Then we've not even approached this correctly.
I see.
Okay. You are price bracketing. You're doing project-based pricing. And when the clients get all squirrely on you, nervous, you start explaining yourself. And that's the first way you start to lose the higher ground, when you have to justify your prices. If I were you, when I say between 3,000 to 10,000, like, no, we can't afford that. I ask them, what can you afford? And then I say, look, fantastic. I'm sure you're going to find a great designer somewhere in the universe that can do it for $500. Actually, I have a friend, his name is Ashok. He's in India. He can probably do it for that. I'll refer you and be on your way. If you want to work with me, though, these are my prices. I mean, try this anywhere. Everybody's watching this, all 406 of you guys that are watching live in the webinar and more on YouTube. I want you to do this. I want you to go into any store, any established place, not a bazaar, not like an open market kind of thing, and tell them, like, I want that Audi A7, but here's the price I want to pay. See how far you get with that. See how they react to you. They're going to throw you out, man. They're get out of here, you scrub.
I say no when they say they cannot afford this, or I suggest other people if I think other people have the budget to or bandwidth to do it. I find this tiny urge to explain that there's more than meets the eye.
Don't explain. Do not explain. Dude, don't justify. So I'm going to give you one piece of advice, okay, Demetrius. I want to forbid you from ever explaining or justifying your price again. You would only explain something when the client asks you for more information. And I would never justify the time I'm going to put into it. It's not based on time. So here, let's role play the scenario a little bit. Now, I'm going to save us time. I'm going to tell you how it goes, okay? Clients have come up and said, well, how many hours are you going to put into this, Chris? We want to make sure you're putting enough time into this. I said, fantastic. If I show you the number of hours into this, will you know what that means? Do you know that we have the right designer working on it, or that there are 2 people or 3 people? Or do you ultimately just care that we get the project done, that you can focus on your business, and we deliver what we say on time? If I show you how we calculate the time that we put into this, if we go beyond that time, are you willing to pay us more? If you are, then really what we need to do is to give you an estimate based on time and materials. And I can no longer guarantee that this is going to be done for the price that you want. Would you like to see the time? No, I don't want to see the time, Chris. Just do it. Why does it cost so much, Chris? Because that's what it costs to have me do it. And you know, like when you go to the hardware store and you go and buy a light, you notice that you can buy a light for $1. You can buy a light for 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, a million, 10 million, so on and so forth. Why does each person decide what light is right for them? Well, based on what they think is fair and valuable. So if you want a crystal diamond encrusted chandelier, that's a light from a famous designer like Philippe Starck, that's going to be $60,000. Or you can buy an LED thing and you can plug it in, and it's both are going to illuminate the space, but one's going to make you feel something a little different. You get to decide. I don't. I just tell you what the price is. No justification, no explanation. Now, I'm sure I'm going to get some lovely comments on YouTube in a little bit. I'll deal with you guys later. Okay? All right. Okay, I want to go into the deck a little bit. I'm going to show you a couple of things. But before I do that, Mr. Ben Burns, is there anything I need to address right now in the Q&A in the live aspect of this?
No, there's tons of questions, guys. We cannot get to all 102 of you right now.
But we'll save your questions. We'll save the questions.
Saving all of the questions. Yeah.
That'll be a blog post, 102 blog posts later. We'll get to it at some point. Right, Ben?
That's right.
Is there one giant one that we can just bring to the surface?
Sure. All right. I tell you what, let me give you a softball. Is there a formula for fixed price work, hourly work? Is there any kind of cheat sheet, anything that we can use to figure this out if we're not ready for value? Told you, softball.
When you said softball, you basically said go to the deck, Chris. So
yeah.
Right now. And in case you guys are wondering, people that are not part of the pro community or have never seen one of these videos before, I'm at my house. This is my house. This is the back. I have an amazing camera setup. There's a light here and there's a light there. You see this like little rim light. That's what's happening. Okay. So this is my house. All right. And Ben's at the office in his room. I'm going to share now. Where are we? Here. Okay. Now we went through that. I'm going to show you guys basically how you should do pricing inputs, basically a time and materials estimate. It's an estimate because we don't know necessarily how much time it's going to take. So I just made this really quickly so you guys can see this, okay? Now, whenever you're doing a project, most of you guys just fill in this top part, like this is me, and then there's a quantity, and there's a unit, hours, and this is my rate. And so that's what you get right here, all right? Oops, I don't want to change the formula, okay? That's what you're going to see. Now, what you realize is that there are actually different roles that you're doing. Just because you're a solopreneur and you're wearing different hats doesn't mean that you can't break this thing down into more parts and pieces. Let's say you're a designer illustrator with that nice slash in between. And you might charge different rates based on what perceived fair market value is. So then this is how the bid starts to get a little bit more complicated. And let's say you're like this amazing unicorn rainbow warrior that you can design, you can illustrate, and you can do code, and you could do development. Those are different rates. Now, psychologically, people are prepared to pay different rates from the same human being if you change the title. So within the world of development, it could be as much as $175 an hour. And even though you're an illustrator and people are going to choke at something beyond $80 an hour, I would start to divide your time up a little differently. So strategically, we're going to build this a little differently, and we're going to start to transition into project-based pricing. Now, even if you do just hourly, let's pretend like now you're a designer, you're going to hire an illustrator, and you're going to have to hire a developer to do this. And you get an estimate from them. You're like, okay, based on what we talked about, guys and girls, this is the price, right? So you do a subtotal, which is right over here. And then what you probably want to do is to build in a contingency. If things go wrong, and like if we have to work overtime, whatever, just put that in there. Even if you never ever have to use it, the clients are going to get used to seeing a bigger number. And this is just merely an estimate, okay? So if they actually have to do more work in illustration, this number will go up. And then this is the number you submit. There's a formula and there's a spreadsheet, and I will show it to you in a little bit. Now, when you're doing pricing outputs, this is basically a fixed bid when you know what the scope is. When you don't know the scope, this is extremely dangerous for you to do. And if you're going to build a gigantic website, with all kinds of function and features, e-commerce and booking, all that kind of stuff. What I would suggest you do is you do a paid discovery where you can scope out what you're going to build first. So if you're going to charge $100,000, theoretically, you would charge something like $20K to scope it and say that the rest of it can be anywhere between $80,000 to $250,000. You just don't know yet. So it's worthwhile. It's kind of an insurance policy for the client that you do spend time upfront defining scope. And so you'll go through many meetings with them, you do research, and then once you define what you're going to build and you get sign off, then you can estimate the rest of the project properly. Now, I know this is kind of small, but I wanted to show you when we do a project-based bidding, what we do is we just define either phases or components with a project with a dollar sign assigned to that element, and that's it. Okay, and if you want to do this much simpler, you would just describe precisely what they get, how many revisions they get, roughly the timeline, not because of hours, but in case the timeline gets stretched, that becomes a problem for you. And then you would just do a grand total. Notice here, there's no way to kind of figure out how many hours or how many people are working on the project. This is a super old bid that I pulled out here. Okay, so there are definite formulas. We teach these things to you in the bootcamp, but we do even one better. We're going to give you the spreadsheet, the Excel document that we use or used to use, so that you can find the right form of bidding for you. So whether you're a solopreneur or you're a thriving, growing agency, we're going to teach you how to do all these things and provide you all the tools necessary. So this is the too long didn't read parts, okay? So what are we talking about? You guys hopefully are here, some of you, because you're considering joining us on the Business Bootcamp. So what is it? It's a 6-week course. There's 7 modules. There's video lectures, pre-recorded and highly edited and indexed ready for you. There is a 2-hour live Q&A session each Friday following the lectures. And we do those at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I believe those are recorded as well. So in case you can't make it, you can listen to them after the fact.
Yes.
And when the course wraps after the 6th week, we're going to do something scheduled a little bit later so that we're going to do a bonus Q&A course recap with you to answer any of the questions. Once you've been able to process and digest the information and apply it to the real world, you're going to want to come back and ask some questions from us so we can help you get through those hurdles. Now, if you just look at the time, just keep in mind here, just the Q&A sessions alone, that's 12 hours plus the bonus. Let's say that's 13 hours. Now, I'm not going to be on the calls all the time, but I will be on several of them. And I charge $1,000 an hour to coach people. So the price alone of my time, if I were to do all the sessions, is $13,000 for coaching. Now, keep in mind, Ben and Matthew do this as well, and their coaching rate is a little bit less. So somewhere in there, there's value just in the coaching sessions alone. Forget about the video lectures, the templates, the legal documents that we're going to share with you. There's a ton of value in there, okay? We're also going to give you homework, worksheets, and self-study assignments. You're going to get added to a private Facebook group so that you can learn with your peers. And we're seeing wonderful things happen, that relationships are being built within the peer group. People are meeting up, they're talking, they're sharing, they're hiring each other. It's a wonderful thing. And you will also get lifetime access. There's a little asterisk to lifetime, because if we blow up and we're dead, I guess it's gone, but we don't plan on doing that. So we're going to be here for as long as we're going to be here. You have lifetime access to the product. The price is $4,000. Okay, it's not cheap. So if you're not committed, if you're not ready to do this, if you're not at that place in your life or your business where you can afford that, this isn't for you, and I understand that. So the 6 modules that I talked about are mindset and communication, diagnosing, overcoming objections, which is a super powerful one, pricing strategies, some of the things we talked about today, learning how to close and onboard the clients so that you have a smooth delivery from beginning to end. And perhaps for some people, the delegation module is the most important, because they can get the work, but for some reason, they can't let any of that work go. They don't know how to hire people. They don't know how to manage people, because they're afraid, if I hire you, if it doesn't work out, I'm going to have to fire you. And I don't want to do that. So I'm going to just keep the work. Or the lie that you tell yourself that I'm always the best one to do the work, so I can't hire anybody. Okay. So what else is included? I mentioned a little bit the legal kit, which is a bunch of documents that we've prepared with our attorney that includes a master service agreement, payment terms, intellectual property indemnification, and more, an employee freelancer agreement. so that there's a non-disclosure agreement, non-compete clause, non-solicit. They don't go after their clients. How you want to define the portfolio usage, copyright assignment, arbitration, etc. Release form for people who appear in your videos and projects, and a collection letter like, yo, pay up, pay up. I've shown you a glimpse of one of the bid forms or bid types. I'm going to show you the other one right now. So this is a 5-page document, an Excel spreadsheet that we've modified from the AICE bid form, where you're going to learn how to price your project correctly. I shared this at a workshop in Las Vegas, and a gentleman came up to me. He says, that piece of information alone is going to earn me $30,000 because I could not figure out how to put more into my bids until you showed this.
The screenshot sound was deafening across the globe.
Okay, so we're running another promotion. You've already missed, unfortunately, the best promotion we could provide because for whatever reason, you didn't know about it, you delayed, you hesitated. You could have saved $1,000, but we're going to still save you some money. Now, I have no idea what that is, so Ben's going to have to take over this part.
Definitely. Let me share my screen real quick.
Go ahead, Ben.
There we go. All right. So, guys, if you are interested in the Pro tier, which is the $4,000 price point, you can enter this code in at checkout. It's pricing webinar 300, and that will save you $300 on the ticket cost. There's also a way that you can divide the price of the course over, I think it's 4 monthly payments, and this code will work for that too. Keep in mind that this expires on Monday, so you only have a couple days.
So it expires Sunday at midnight, Ben, or is that?
Yeah,
Monday?
but Sunday at midnight.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And then let me take over the screen sharing again, Ben.
Okay.
Did it stop yet? I'll just take over.
There you go.
Okay. Okay. And then boom, here we go. So you guys, people delay and then they tell me a sob story. Guys, don't be a sob story. Figure it out. If this is something that's right for you, join us. We're here for you. The class is starting to fill up. Our goal was to get 100 of you guys in here to teach you to transform your life and your business and the people that you take care of. So here's the summary here. It's 7+ hours of training. It's been edited in indexed, so it's super easy for you to watch. And many people do that where they watch them over and over again because some of the lessons are hard to absorb for sure. And they're getting value just by watching it over and over again. There's 6 Q&A sessions with Matt, myself, and Ben. There's the legal kit, bid forms, and one thing that people love watching us do, which is to overcome sales objections. We teach you how to do that via the Socratic 6 approach, okay? The class starts September 4th. That's not a lot of time from now, so I hope to see you guys. I want to thank everybody. I want to thank our panelists especially for joining us and having this conversation and for being so open and sharing. I'm going to stop this share for a second here. As they say sharing, I'm going to stop the share. For joining us. And what I want to do is to start to make it comfortable for creative people to talk about money and to share what they're doing. And I love the fact that you guys are becoming more transparent. Now, I'm not sure if this is true, but before we started to produce videos online and write articles about what we do and how we do what we do, you would probably be very hard pressed to find any creative firm that would tell you how much they're billing in as transparent as in a way that we've done. And I'm hoping that this is going to set the tone for future entrepreneurs and business owners to start to open up the dialogue so that we don't have to compete against each other and kind of move in dark circles. We can shine a light on this. We can have open and clear and honest communication about what we're doing, what our challenges are, so that we can help one another. We can learn and grow, and we'll grow as a community versus as individuals in our own fiefdoms. Okay? That's it, you guys. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for hanging out with us. And I'm going to now say goodbye to you and see you guys online in the next live stream or the next whatever. Okay? Take care, you guys. Be well. Have a great weekend. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.
Cheers, Chris.
Thanks, guys.